up guys, it's Sam. Today's video is going to be a bit longer and it's going to be more serious, so if that's not your thing, then I'm just putting that out there. But I'm going to be talking about the complexity of passing. Now, what is passing? Passing can be a different definition for everybody. But for me, passing is the act of going out in public and being seen as the thing that you identify as. So for example, for me, passing is me, since I identify as a male, going out in public and being seen as a typical male. Passing has different aspects for everybody. Passing is a huge safety concern, plus passing has to do with people's mental health a lot of the time, so it's really important. But passing can be a big safety issue for trans people because if you go out in public and you don't pass as the thing you identify with, then it can be a real safety concern and it can be dangerous in some situations, as bad as that is to say, it's true. In society, there are preconceived notions that if you don't look, act, or do things that correspond with the way you identify, then you aren't that thing in the long run. Meaning, if you identify as a man or if you identify as a female, but you don't act, walk, or talk like a male or a female, then you aren't a male or a female. As bad as that is, we really can't blame society. Society has been pretty much raised to do that. We've been doing it for years, as bad as that is to say. Society has just been formed, and that's the way that we see things. It's a psychological thing. We've been raised to see a female to look this way or a male to look this way, and if we don't look or do things that go with that identity, then society is going to say that you aren't that thing. As bad as that is to say, we really can't blame society. As problematic as that is, we really can't, because it's a psychological thing. But if you do tell somebody that you're a male or you're a female, or your pronouns are he or your pronouns are she or they, and they don't go and call you that, then, you know, that's a different story. But you are trans even if you don't pass. If you identify as a trans person, then you're a trans person. You don't have to pass or do these certain things in order to be trans. You are trans enough. And if you don't get that reference, there's this whole thing, it's a Chase Ross project where it's called the Trans Enough Project. You can look it up on YouTube. It's people going into that. But there's no such thing as not trans enough. If you are trans or identify as a trans person, then you're trans. Even if you don't fit the binary, if you identify as a male but wear makeup or something, you're still a male, you know. It's just the way that society preconceives people, and yeah. Passing or not passing can come along with a bunch of dysphoria. If you don't know what dysphoria is a feeling that you get mentally where your mental identification doesn't meet your physical identification. Dysphoria can be a huge concern. Dysphoria can come in a bunch of different wavelengths, and it can come at different times. And dysphoria sucks. I haven't really found out how to deal with dysphoria 100%. Most of the time, if I feel dysphoric, I talk to somebody or just cry it out. But on to another point that sort of has to do with passing. The gender spectrum is huge. You can identify as completely male or completely female, or you can be in between, you know, with the way you act, the way that you feel, the way that you identify as a person. But there is no one way or the right way to be who you are. Just be you, you know. But society is going to see you as you look. You know, again, it's a psychological thing. So society is going to see you as a female if you look typically female. But that's just the way our brains work. We really can't blame people if they misgender you the first time that they see you. Of course, you should correct them, but you can't really blame them, you know, because they don't know you and you've never told them before. So if you look female, then they're going to call you by female pronouns. Along with the gender spectrum, the sexuality spectrum is it goes the same way. You can be completely straight, completely gay, or you can fall in the middle, or you can, like, you know, identify whatever you wish to identify with in your sexuality and in your gender. But sexuality can cause a bunch of dysphoria for trans people as well, and plus that sort of goes into passing with sexuality, because if you identify as male and you like aren't the typical male and you like guys, then people can be like, oh, well, is that a girl? Is that a guy? Are they gay? Are they straight? And it's really confusing. Or it can be really confusing for different people. Deciding to transition isn't that important. Transitioning can be important and not important to different people. For me, transitioning is one of my biggest goals, and I need to do it for my mental health. But for some people, they don't want to transition, or they don't have to transition in order to meet their mental health. Transitioning isn't that important for them, and that's okay. You don't have to transition to be trans. Like, that's the huge misconception with trans people. You have to transition or you're not trans. That's not the way it works. Representation in that order with transitioning is a huge thing with the trans community. People think that, oh, you don't transition, then you're not trans, which isn't true. I don't know why people think that, as stupid as it is, but people think that way, and it should change, obviously. But in the long run, how to have mental and physical stability, meaning how to be confident and how to be valid in your head and seeing yourself the way that you see yourself in your head. So if transitioning is the way that you need to go to feel confident and see yourself the way that you see yourself in your head, then transition. But you don't have to transition. If you don't want to transition and you're fine with the way you are, then do that. Passing just has a lot of misconceptions and a lot of like rumors that you have to pass in order to be this and that, but it isn't true. Gender and sexuality both fall on a huge spectrum. You don't have to identify as one thing or another to be that thing, and that's what's important. Pretty much the moral of the story is to be yourself, and you don't have to identify as this or this, and you don't have to fall on this part of the spectrum or that part of the spectrum to be yourself. I expected this video to be a lot longer. I'm not sure what time I'm on right now, but I think I wrapped it all up in a pretty short time. Hopefully this wasn't hella super long. But I upload on Tuesdays and Thursdays from now on. That is one of my goals in 2017, is to get on a strict schedule for uploading videos. I'm going to be uploading on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 3:30 Eastern time. So yeah, hopefully I could stick to that. And I'd appreciate it if you guys told me if you preferred me standing in front of this tape-ish, whatever it's called, this thing, or the wall with the drawings and the lights and everything. So tell me which place you prefer me to be. I'm just trying different things out. But I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I will see you next time.